Good. And why do we call them non-renewable if they're actually renewable? Just because they take so much time, right? You can control a lot of things, but we can't control time. There goes our recording. It finally started. So that is, again, why I'm not on camera today. For some reason, the internet is super slow. That took a long time for that to go. So we were reviewing yesterday's content of renewable and non-renewable energy sources and why they are called renewable and non-renewable. So today we're going to move into what we call the greenhouse effect. Okay. We're going to look at something called the Kyoto Protocol. And by the end of the day, we're going to be able to define pollution. Again, we're all back down here on knowledge, gaining some basic information on these things. Tell me what you know about the greenhouse effect. What do you know about the greenhouse effect before we start? Okay, so the greenhouse effect is caused by greenhouse gases, harmful to the environment, buildup of CO2, raises the temperature, good, trapped gases in the atmosphere, the ozone layer. Good. So it sounds like we have some knowledge about greenhouse gases, or at least those of you who are putting it in chat do. So let's do a poll. For those of you who aren't, tell me how you feel about if you had to explain right now what the greenhouse effect is. Could you do it confidently? Smiley face. Maybe, meh, or I have no idea what the greenhouse effect is. Frowny face. All right, so we got a few more. Still only about 30 out of 50 of you have answered, so go ahead. This tells me where we need to spend our time today. Okay. Most of you are meh, or you feel confident in it. That's good. That's good. Your earth science teachers have. Now, what about the Kyoto Protocol? Can anyone explain that? Smiley face me there. Smiley face, you could explain it. Meh, I don't know, maybe. And frowny face, I've never heard of that in my entire life. Couple smileys, couple mehs, mostly.
Yeah, I think it's pronounced the Kyoto Protocol, if you're wondering.
Maybe. I know Coyote. Good, guys. Let's go ahead and what about pollution? Could you define pollution? Smiley face, I could define pollution. Meh. I think I could. Frown face. Don't know what pollution is. All right. So we're feeling pretty good about, yeah, good. We're feeling pretty good about 2 of the 3 of these goals today. So that tells me we should be able to get through this lesson, maybe do our quiz today in class. Ren, don't spill that, sweet pea.
I won't.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about global temperatures. So over time, we have seen that there has been some increases in the temperatures of the atmosphere. So since the late 1950s, there has been some studies done over the top of Hawaii's I don't know, Mauna Loa volcano. All right. This has shown that there have been documented increases in atmospheric concentrations of carbon dioxide. So we're seeing that the carbon dioxide has been increasing in the atmospheres here above the volcano. Right now, do we know that that is forever? Do we know that this is the increase that's been happening always? No, we don't. Do we know that this was plateaued and then went up? No. Do we know that it was decreasing and went up? No. Do we know that it was going up, that it went down, and then it's going up again? We don't. We don't know. But what we do know is that what it's shown since they've started studying it. Okay. So I'm always one to not look at one piece of data and make an observation. I am not saying that the CO2 temperatures are not increasing, because they are, from the point of time in which it has been studied. Do we know that it has never done that before? We haven't. But we can make inferences based on those observations, saying that maybe what we've been doing here on Earth could be affecting those CO2 levels. Does that make sense to everybody? So this is just something we want to be aware of, that this is a study that has been done at one spot, and that this is the data that was gathered, and we can make inferences based on that. All right, so let's look at what greenhouse gases are. Again, we've talked about this before. Hey, Ren, will you go snuggle Raja over there right now? Because we're studying, okay? Thank you.
Those kids, they never get old.
Thank you. So scientists are looking at what we call our greenhouse gases. First of all, let's just talk about, if I had to tell you to explain what a greenhouse is, tell me what a greenhouse is. What is the purpose of a greenhouse? How is a greenhouse different than your house? Good. It is glass. It has a lot more windows. It oftentimes has a glass roof. Most of your houses probably do not have glass roofs, right? So it lets the sunshine in and then keeps it in. Keeps the heat and energy from the sun for the plants, for its growth. So we want to take that analogy and apply it to this phenomena that we're talking about today with the greenhouse gas emission. So these pictures really help me, okay? So this is the natural greenhouse effect. All right? This is what happens with or without humans. There's this greenhouse gas ring around Earth's atmosphere. So here's Earth. Here's Earth's atmosphere, and here are the greenhouse gases. So as our sunlight comes in, all right, it hits the Earth, but things still come back out. Radiation comes back out. As the heat comes back out, all right, some of it goes back into space, and some of that hits this ozone layer and then comes permeating back towards Earth. This is a natural effect. How is this enhanced sometimes, or believed to enhanced, be enhanced by human pollution? Is that they're saying that this band is widening. All right, so this gap right here is closing in this atmospheric area, so that less of the energy that is reflected and sent back in is actually getting back into space. So this process is basically showing that we are getting more similar to a greenhouse. We are getting more direct reflected radiation from the sun, right? So we're getting that initial. See, it's not the sun is not directly penetrating the earth. See how the light is bent? Again, that's protection for us. We don't want those direct rays of the sun because they're so powerful energy wise. They would create a lot of cellular mutations for us. They're dangerous for our skin. So that kind of bending of the hey Ren, that kind of bending of the sunlight is very beneficial to us, okay? And instead of escaping back into space, we're having more of those waves be redirected back to us. Does that make sense to everybody? I'm not going to stick on this too long because in general, most of you are understanding this theory of how it is believed that our good. Yep. Okay, good. No unhappy faces. So that makes me feel like we can move on. Again, think about that glass greenhouse and think about as CO2 increases, that this band increases with it, which allows less sunlight to escape back to space. Good. Who'd like to read this slide? Let's go ahead and get somebody else involved here. Anybody? All right. Well, I'm going to have, let's see. Let's have Ireland read this one, and Pip, you can read the next one.
Scientists consider carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and a few other compounds mainly to blame for the increase in global warming. In 1997, the United Nations sponsored the Kyoto Protocol, an international commitment to reduce carbon emissions.
Perfect, Ireland. Good. So the Kyoto or however we want to pronounce it, protocol is just a global commitment created by the United Nations to do what? Reduce carbon emissions. So it's saying this could potentially be a problem. We don't want this to be a problem in the future. So in order to kind of get a good leeway, head start on what could be problems, we are going to globally make an effort to monitor our carbon dioxide emissions. All right, you're totally fine. We're just glad you're here. So we talked about greenhouse gases and how as America and the world has industrialized, we're putting out more carbon dioxide emissions. What that has done is that has increased that band of our greenhouse gases that surround the earth. And in some studies that have been done, we feel like we have seen some increases in temperature as a potential side effect of this growing ozone layer. So what we did globally is we made the Kyoto Protocol as the United Nations saying we want to be mindful of this decision. All right. So why do we care if that this increase was happening? All right. What we're seeing some studies that are showing increases. Why do we care? What is that going to do for us? Well, let's read about what the effects of an increased global temperature might do. And go ahead and read that for us, Bib.
All right. What are the effects of increased global temperatures? Some recent scientific studies have shown the following: 10% decrease in snow cover worldwide. I mean, it's snowing here, but this is a different story. Significant retreat of glaciers, annual rise in sea level of 1.6 millimeters or 0.063 inches since 1900 to 2018, and a habitat change for many species. Thank you. Oh yeah, you're muted, by the way.
Good job. Yep. Nope. I was just slow at hitting it.
Oh.
Nope. Thank you so much. So what does that mean? Well, we've just seen some effects of an increased heat, right? And so if we would lose glaciers, if we see glaciers retreating, then we know that there could be a loss of a habitat. We talked about how ecosystems are what? Tell me what happens when there is a change in living or non-living things in our ecosystem. What happens? They could. They potentially could find a new habitat. What else? They could adapt. But what happens? Okay, some things may die. Good, Dustin. Yes. Some could have trouble adapting. The web breaks down. Right? We learned that these abiotic and biotic components, the non-living and living components of an ecosystem, all really depend on each other. Right? And that when you see a fluctuation in one thing, you often see a fluctuation in everything in that ecosystem. It has that domino effect, right? So when something happens in an ecosystem, that it can be detrimental because one thing plays off the next thing, which plays off the next. So that is why we need to be cautious of this increase in temperature, because if we see too much of glacier retreats or melting to where that we are losing those habitats, there could be a significant impact in our world ecosystem. All right. Before we move on to pollution, do we feel good about the give me a poll. Do you feel good about greenhouse gases? How we have tracked temperatures in recent history, the Kyoto effect on how we are trying to prevent the continual rise, and why the rise could be detrimental. If you have a met or a frowny face, would you do me a favor? Or even if you just have a question, put those questions in chat for me right now. All right, because of more humans, because of more factories, because of more industry, because we're burning more natural gases and we're putting off more carbon dioxide from our cars and all of life, we are putting that into the air, and the air is therefore retaining more of the sun's radiation. Because of that increased radiation, we're seeing a potential effect of rising temperatures. So we have made international efforts, the Kyoto effect, to be mindful as we grow our industries of not continually putting out more carbon dioxide so that we don't see ecosystems become affected. Okay. If you have questions, please put those in chat so I can clarify any of those for you as we continue. All right. We get to pollution. All right. It is crazy. We probably avoid looking at pictures like this, right? But this is a reality. This is what we have in probably every single one of our communities. Is a place where we have landfills. We have beaches. We have creek beds, rivers, river basins that may not look as dramatic as this one right here, but do have a significant amount of garbage in them. All right. So as you look at this, you're going to notice that a majority of these things are plastics. All right. So what are some plastic things that we use daily that are going to increase that? Well, things like our water bottles, right? Who in this have, like, I don't personally buy water bottles, not because of pollution. So do not feel guilty. But in chat, if your family buys bottles of water for your house at home, say so in chat. Again, this is zero judgment because I think most people do. Yeah, right? Buy those flats of water and water bottles. Actually, I shouldn't lie. I have a water bottle sitting right next to me. I don't buy them often just because I'm just that cheap. But yeah, so water bottles we all use, straws we all use. Tell me if you bring home these plastic bags from the grocery. Anyone? Don't tell me you don't bring those plastic bags home from the grocery. All right. I've got reusable bags. I've got plastic bags. Sometimes I still forget my big yawn. Sorry. But plastics are something that are super populated in our population right now, right? We use them all the time, but they are just so difficult to get rid of if we do not recycle them in the recycle process. If they get into our waterways or into our landfills, they're just not something that decomposes quickly. All right. So what is pollution? The actual definition is defined as something that is going to contaminate, all right, our air or water. Pollution is not a positive thing. It has a negative thing negative effect really on all human life, all ecological life. All right. Cleaning up pollution is not fun. All right. Like this does not look enjoyable. These people are not doing this to have a good day. They're doing this out of generosity or for their jobs, right? So pollution is something that is going to negatively affect our environment, negatively affect our ecosystems, and is going to have impacts on, again, similar to that carbon dioxide, that can have impact on our ecosystems for long periods of time. All right. Poison lands can be transformed into parks. When we do take action, it does make a difference. We have laws that also help protect the environment. There was a ban on DDT, and this actually did help bring back the populations of our bald eagles. Local groups, right? Things that you can do really do help on a local basis. All right. Can you name some of the things that help lessen the effects of pollution? We actually have a group at our local church that we've adopted a certain section of our highway. And that we actually go out and spend time doing that. Recycling, good. Yeah. I'm so bad. We all have bins that are available to us to recycle. So sometimes it's just as simple as not throwing it in the trash can in the house. Good. Catalytic converters. Good. Yeah. So it might seem like a big thing. A lot of times when things seem so big, they seem like things that they are not things that I can impact. But truly, this is not like a motivational speech or pep talk. We can do things that at our local level that can help our local ecosystems. Yep, I'll help you in a little bit. I'm finishing up class. So let's have someone to read this slide. We have an American biologist here called Rachel Carson. And she was someone in her local community that did something that made a difference. Let's go back and take a peek at these eagles. Oh, did you, Ireland? That's so cool. Let's go back and read about her. Is there someone that would like to read this about Rachel Carson? Anyone? Ireland, go ahead and read for us.
American biologist Rachel Carson was largely responsible for drawing public attention to the dangers of DDT. In 1962, her book Silent Spring presented data suggesting that DDT was responsible for bird deaths all over the country. When DDT was eventually banned for agricultural use, the event signaled the beginning of today's environmental movement. The bottom righter.
Thank you. Good. That's perfect. So because of a pesticide that was killing, so it's a DDT is a pesticide. I'm sorry, I should have told you that. So that is a pesticide. A pesticide is something that you spray on plants that is used agriculturally. All right. And what happens is when you spray it on plants, it doesn't just stay in plants. What happens is the rain hits those plants, right? And it gets into our waterways. And what do the eagles eat as a food source? No. The eagles are, well, maybe they could eat mice, but they eat fish, right? So because that pesticide was being put onto fields, it was running off into waterways, and it was infecting those waterways and anything in it. It was killing off our eagles. It was. And they were at once an endangered species. I do not think they are on the endangered species list now. But because the study of one person, she was able to change that, right? Dr. Susan Solomon she is also part of a team that started locating these holes in the ozone layer. All right, the ozone is the outermost part of the atmosphere that protects us from the sun. All right, and there are what we call chlorofluorocarbons. Chlorofluorocarbons, and those were released in different aerosol products. All right. And that is what we call them CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons. Those have also been minimized because of the studies of Dr. Susan Solomon, right? And again, why we need those layers of the atmosphere is like we talked about from the sun's rays. If we get direct sun rays, that is very dangerous to our human skin. So, and to life. So that refraction of the light as it comes into Earth's environment is important, right? That keeps us safe. That is protection. So because of her studies as well, we have been able to make progress to keep us protected. So we are going to do this, and then you are going to take your quiz today because we have some time. So if you want to go ahead and pull up that quiz, it is in there. Let me find it. Global temperatures, it's 5.22, I believe. And you have to scroll down so far. 5.22 quiz. All right. And you will see that open up here 1 second when I open it. If you would like to do that right now as we go through these, you may. Should be opening up for you all. Should show updated. Let me know if it doesn't. It does take a minute and you do have to refresh, or it may still show that it is not closed. All right. There's one more thing here that I need to change, and then everyone should be able to see. Got it. All right. It's open. So if an issue is controversial, which source provides the best objective information? School teachers, advertising, scientific methods, or a rumor? If there's something that is controversial, yes, put it in chat. Let's just do chat today because it lets me have use my pen at the same time versus the poll. It would be C, scientific method. Which way would most likely be the quickest way to reduce carbon emissions entering the atmosphere? For informing people about the problem, passing laws requiring a reduction in emissions, having local roundtable discussions, or meeting with governments from other countries to discuss the situation. The quickest way possible. Yep, would just be that law that says this is the level of carbon emissions you're allowed to put out on a daily basis that is safe for our environment. And question number 3, why is the Kyoto Protocol or Kyoto Protocol new technology for car, a way of going about doing science, a document that sets out a plan reducing for carbon gas emissions, or a set of laws made in Japan that deals with how cars are made? Good. A document with a plan made by the United Nations to help us reduce carbon emissions. You guys are awesome. Look at us getting through things today. This is what my recommendation is for you today to look ahead. All right, tomorrow we are going to review Unit 5. Thursday is the Unit 5 test. I need you for 3 more minutes. Okay, no, we're done with the quiz, but I would like to introduce something to you just very quickly that I want to start doing. So in an email that will be going out to you and your learning coaches, I'm going to be sending out an email about a process that you can use as we prepare here for our end of course exam. So after spring break, we're going to come back and we are going to start studying for your test. This is super important. I will not always be here because part of the time during spring testing, I will be testing myself at a testing site. I have been assigned. I just got that information yesterday. However, I want you to know that there is a plan for you to be successful. We are going to go through some testing strategies. Where is it? Where's my picture? I'm going to have to re-download it here. I want you to work on some strategies yourself that is going to help you be successful on the test. if you start practicing these strategies on a daily basis, it's going to feel very normal when you get to the test on in April. It's not that far away. Let me pull it up now. So some strategies that we're going to do as we read questions will be these three. We're going to practice. I would even like some of you to start leading them during class, maybe even during these quick checks. We're going to start doing some the biology test I do not have an exact date on. It is usually, unfortunately, the last test that you take, which makes me irritated because I feel like everyone's tested. Well, here, hold on. Done testing by the time they actually get to take the biology test. Yep, your OHVA should be sending you an email with when yours is. All right. So as we get to questions on the test, we're going to start using these three strategies. I want you to read the question. I want you to get rid of ridiculous answer choices. And then I want you to use the information, like those context clues, like the word greenhouse, the things you know about in the question, the vocabulary you know in the question to help you answer these questions correctly. A lot of the times, guys, it might not even be something that an answer that you have to recall. Sometimes the answer can be found within the question by word dissection and by getting rid of ridiculous answer choices. So like in today's quiz, there were some ridiculous choices. The one question about down here, a set of laws in Japan made about how cars are made. Like, that's ridiculous. It doesn't say about emissions that are being put out. It's talking about cars. That is a ridiculous answer. We would get rid of that. All right. A new technology for cars. Right? We're not like nothing about ecology has to do with car technology. It may have to be with cross out ridiculous things. A way about going about doing science. Like, what does that even mean, right? Doesn't that sound like ridiculousness? So we can cross things out. Like, honestly, of those three answer choices, I could know nothing about the Kyoto Protocol. But some of those answer choices just seem ridiculous. Does that make sense to everybody? Good. I'm pulling you. I mean, even the first one. Advertising, the best way to get rid of a controversial source. Advertising and rumor. I mean, those are silliness. School teachers are great, but school teachers aren't teaching everyone and all the adults right now, right? So, like, crossing out ridiculousness is seriously a really good method. That, and we have spent all year going over things like dissecting words, not things, right? Like abiotic, symbiotic. We know bio means living. We know that anytime there's an a or a non in front of something, that means it's not. So we are going to be practicing these. I'm going to send out an example state test question, walking you through these strategies. And then every Thursday or Friday, we are going to start taking a practice test. You're going to see it in your plan. It's going to take you to the website, a Nearpod website. It's going to go over the strategies with you. And then you're going to take the test. because practicing these state test questions are going to help you be prepared, okay? So we're going to start doing it every week. Not because I like it, but because it's going to help you get exposure to questions like you're going to see. It's going to help you freak out less. The more we do it together, the more confident you're going to be and the more you're going to be successful. All right. All right, I'm done. I'm really done. All right. Pick a way to level up today so that you're ready for tomorrow. Thanks for being here. Thanks for working hard. Thanks for participating. And I will see you tomorrow morning. Have a good day, guys.